My father raised me alone after my mother died, when I was 6. He worked hard to ensure I had what I needed, carefully saving despite not being wealthy. I'm Daniel, and when I was in high school, my father met and married Patricia, my stepmother. Initially, she was pleasant, capable of charming anyone she met, but her true colors showed soon after the wedding. She viewed me as an inconvenience, but I let it go because my dad was happy. However, years later, my father was diagnosed with a rapidly spreading cancer. I dropped everything to care for him, taking him to appointments and being by his side during treatments, while Patricia distanced herself, acting like the grieving wife was more tedious than truly helping him. She continued spending his money, as if nothing had changed. After my father passed away, just a day after his funeral, Patricia bluntly told me to leave. I couldn't believe her audacity until she forcibly tossed my belongings out the next morning. The memory of her slamming the front door on me, with her words echoing cruelly in my mind, made my blood boil. "This house is mine now, you need to pack your things," she announced, her face devoid of any emotion. I was unbelieving, thinking she was simply being vindictive, but she was deadly serious. It was the only home I had known, and my father had barely been laid to rest. I gathered myself, heading to Mr. Reynolds, my father's attorney. He handed me an envelope from my father, written months before his death. Patricia had claimed everything, and in her eyes, there was nothing left for me until this letter proved otherwise. It was a piece of my father, providing clarity amidst her betrayal. As I read the letter, I realized Patricia had revealed her true intentions sooner than anticipated. It was clear she intended to claim everything, but I was relieved to learn she couldn't. The house and accounts were not in her name, and she would soon discover that what she believed to be her inheritance was actually mine. Reynolds would clarify all the specifics. "Stand firm, son, and don't let her deny you what's rightfully yours," the letter insisted. Shocked, I murmured, "She lied." "Indeed, she did," Reynolds confirmed. "Your father foresaw this and took measures. Patricia is entitled to nothing." I was stunned as I listened. She had assured me everything was hers. "She certainly believed so," Reynolds remarked. "However, your father placed the house and assets into a trust for you. He left her a stipend, but that was revoked due to her actions." Sitting there in disbelief, I thought, she's going to lose everything. Reynolds gave a faint smile. "She already has." Leaving his office, I drove straight to the house, no longer feeling nervous or scared, but furious. As I arrived, Patricia stood on the porch, sipping her expensive coffee as if she hadn't just evicted her late husband's son. She seemed surprised to see me. "I thought I made myself clear," she said, arms crossed. I stepped up to her, towering above, and handed her a letter from my pocket. "This is from my father. Might be worth a read." Snatching it from my hand, her eyes flitted over the text, her smug demeanor quickly replaced by anger. After reading it again, she began to shake, then let out a piercing scream that caught the neighbor's attention. She crumpled the letter, her face flushed with fury. "You're lying," she yelled. "This isn't real. He wouldn't do this to me." Calmly, I produced another envelope, official papers from Reynolds. "Here it is. The house, the accounts, everything. You have nothing, Patricia. You're actually trespassing on my property." She froze, her face contorting with rage, and then lunged, her nails targeting my face. I barely had time to react before she pushed me back, crying out in a wild rage, "This is my home. I was married to him. You're nothing." I snatched her wrists, preventing her from scratching me, and edged her back. "You need to leave, Patricia," I insisted, my voice steady. Her eyes darted wildly, as if seeking an escape from this nightmare. But it wasn't a nightmare. It was her reality. Then something shifted in her eyes. The fury was replaced by a dangerous calm. A slow, insidious smile unfurled. "You think this is over?" she questioned, smoothing her dress. I recognized that look. It was the same when she was about to do something cruel and manipulative. I simply stepped aside, pointing to the driveway. "Leave." She remained unmoved. "You can't just throw me out like a stray dog." I have nowhere to go. I couldn't help but laugh sharply. You threw me out less than a day after my father passed. Don't expect my sympathy. Her eyes narrowed, and without another word, she stormed inside. I followed, keeping my distance as she stormed into the bedroom she had shared with my father, furiously pulling open drawers and stuffing clothes into bags. She was putting items into a suitcase, her demeanor calm, which puzzled me as she wasn't preparing to depart. Then it became clear she was taking my father's possessions. Quickly, I advanced and pulled the suitcase from her grip. No, I declared firmly. You won't take anything. She let out a sharp laugh. You think you can prevent me? She retorted. I know I can, was my unwavering reply. Her gaze hardened, and with deliberate movement, she stretched for my father's watch on the nightstand, the one he cherished until he became too weak. This belongs to me. Her voice was filled with malevolence. I moved closer, overshadowing her. That was my father's, I stated. You won't keep parts of him after treating him without respect. Her jaw tightened, but I detected a flicker of desperation in her eyes. You believe I didn't love him? She spat. You think I don't deserve anything after those years with him? My hands tensed into fists. Leave, I ordered. She grabbed the watch, placing it hastily into her pocket. You'll regret this, she warned, forcing her way past me. I trailed her through the corridor, ensuring she took nothing more. She dramatized picking up her designer bag, lifting her head as though she wasn't being expelled with nothing. At the doorway, she hesitated, turning her face to me with a smirk. You should have treated me better, she remarked, departing with a slammed door. And that's when chaos erupted. I should have realized Patricia wouldn't retreat silently. She was akin to a serpent, poised to strike unexpectedly. The following morning, my phone's incessant vibrations wrested me from sleep. Still groggy, I reached for it to discover numerous missed calls and messages, from unfamiliar numbers, from distant family, from journalists. Curious, I opened the initial message. Criticism of evicting a grieving stepmother spread through my mind, followed by a wave of regret. My heart sank as I viewed the link, revealing an exaggerated article, the story of a millionaire's selfish son expelling a widowed stepmother post-funeral. My pulse raced as I read the text, painting Patricia as an ever-loving spouse cruelly ousted by her husband's son. The worst? A funeral photo of me was juxtaposed with a staged image of Patricia with a suitcase and falsified sorrow. She was clever, offering her narrative to the media before I could act, leaving people convinced. Hostile comments poured in, with accusations from strangers and even family dissent. A new alert appeared, freezing me, a lawsuit. Patricia sought rights to the house, the inheritance. Her aim was comprehensive ruin. Gripping my phone, my heartbeat thundered in my chest. This extended beyond revenge. She intended to decimate my reputation, drag my name through filth, seize my father's property, and cast me as the antagonist. Daniel felt underestimated by Patricia, who was skilled in manipulation and played the victim role expertly. Yet, she lacked the intelligence that truly counted, and she had made a crucial mistake. He drew a deep breath, trying to clear his mind. The lawsuit was baseless. The house was held in a trust under his name, and she had no valid claim. However, Patricia was not concerned with facts. Her focus was on controlling the narrative, and the public was taking her side eagerly. Daniel realized he needed concrete evidence. Then, he recalled a secret his father had never disclosed to Patricia. Grabbing his keys, Daniel drove straight to his father's attorney, Mr. Reynolds. As he burst into the office, Reynolds was on the phone, likely addressing the chaos Patricia had stirred up. Seeing Daniel, he concluded the call with a sigh. You've seen the news, I presume, he said dryly. Oh, I've seen it, Daniel replied, and I won't let her prevail this time. Reynolds leaned back, observing, she's relying on gaining public sympathy. She knows she can't succeed in court, but she aims to make your life unbearable during this. Daniel clenched his jaw. Is there anything we can use to halt this? I need something to reveal her true nature. After a moment, Reynolds looked at him, then opened a drawer, retrieving a thick envelope. "This," he said, sliding it across the desk, "is something your father never revealed to her." Daniel frowned, opening the envelope. Inside were legal papers, bank statements, transaction records, and something that made his heart drop, a private investigator's report. "What is this?" he asked, his hands trembling as he went through the pages. Reynolds sighed. "Your father was astute, Daniel." As things neared the end, he grew suspicious of Patricia and had someone investigate her. A chill went through Daniel as he read the report, discovering Patricia's infidelity. She had been unfaithful to his father for years, not just with one man but multiple, and they were utilizing his father's money. Patricia had secretly funneled funds into hidden accounts, financially draining his father while pretending to be the committed wife. But the most damning document was a signed contract, a prenup she was unaware of. Daniel's father had established it before their marriage, ensuring that if she ever betrayed him through cheating, theft, or any deceitful acts, she'd leave with nothing. Staring at the document, Daniel asked, "She doesn't know about this, does she?" Reynolds smirked. "Not a clue." Daniel exhaled sharply. This was the key piece. Patricia had thought she perfected her con, luring his father in to grant her everything, yet she unwittingly walked into a trap. Daniel left Reynolds' office, clutching the documents, his mind racing with potential outcomes. Patricia had gone public first, believing the spotlight would shield her. Now, Daniel held the means to dismantle her facade. He made several calls, initially to a well-respected journalist known for valuing truth, and then to his father's closest confidants, individuals the media respected. Returning home, Daniel awaited the fallout. It didn't take long. By the next morning, a revealing article was published, dramatically titled, "Grieving Widow or Heartless Scammer: The Truth About Patricia's Secret Affairs and Stolen Fortune." It went viral rapidly, featuring prenuptial screenshots and bank records detailing how she had channeled his father's wealth into clandestine accounts. Photos of secret encounters with other men surfaced while my father lay dying in a hospital, causing the public to quickly turn against Patricia. Those who had labeled me a monster the previous day were now shredding her reputation. The remarks were vicious, and media outlets that had previously lauded her were now dismantling her image. Then, another scandal emerged. An investigation revealed that some of the money she had siphoned from my father had been utilized in illegal activities, and the IRS was now on her trail. Patricia's downfall continued as she appeared at my door, completely transformed from the self-assured woman I knew. She looked haggard with tangled hair, her stylish clothing all rumpled, and a noticeably pale complexion. She launched another media tour, tearfully accusing me of setting her up and swiping her rightful inheritance. However, her ploy failed. No one believed her anymore. The fraud investigation unearthed further corruption. Patricia had been operating a fake charity in my father's name, channeling large sums into her accounts while he was still alive. Now, the federal authorities were involved. One morning, Reynolds called me, urging me to switch on the news. I quickly did, and there she was, Patricia being escorted from her rented apartment in handcuffs, her appearance disheveled, protesting innocence and claiming entitlement to the money. Yet, the officers were unmoved, escorting her to a police car amid a flurry of camera flashes. I relaxed, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. Patricia's trial was swift. The overwhelming evidence, bank statements, forged documents, and recordings of her discussing her exploits, led to her conviction. She received a 6-year prison sentence for fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. She had no money, hence no possibility of bail, and whatever little she had was seized to repay her debts. After everything settled, I reclaimed our family home, ensured it was thoroughly cleaned, erasing any vestiges of her presence. I revamped my father's office into a sanctuary for myself. Every cent she stole was donated in my father's honor to cancer research and shelters, supporting causes she would despise. The news of her fund's new purpose spread, ensuring Patricia could never escape my father's legacy, his name associated with altruism, hers with deceit. Years later, I encountered her at a grocery store. Patricia, now aged, her previously flawless face marked by stress, wearing inexpensive clothing, lacking the confident air she once exuded. Upon seeing me, she paused, then fled without confrontation, recognizing her defeat. I couldn't help but smile, content in the knowledge of her downfall.